Welcome to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper. Settle in with a cup of tea or perhaps a cozy blanket as we embark on a journey into the world of intrigue and deduction. Tonight, we're diving into a classic whodunit inspired by the Queen of Mystery herself, Agatha Christie. Our tale is titled Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum, a Hercule Poirot Murder Mystery. This is a long, relaxing story perfect for unwinding. Over 90 minutes of slow, deliberate pacing to let the suspense build. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more tales like this. And tell me in the comments below, where are you listening from? Is it a rainy evening in London? Or perhaps a quiet night in New York? I'd love to hear. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Invitation to Nightingale Museum. Welcome to Mystery Manor Tales, dear listeners. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper. Tonight, we embark on a chilling journey into the heart of 1920s London with a tale of intrigue, deception, and murder. A Hercule Poirot mystery titled Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum. Settle in, perhaps with a warm drink or under a cozy blanket, as we unravel this classic whodunit in the style of Agatha Christie. This story is crafted for relaxation, with slow, deliberate pacing to let the suspense unfold over 90 minutes. If you're new here, please subscribe and click the bell for more mysteries. And tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? A foggy night in London or a quiet evening elsewhere? Now, let's step into the shadows of the Nightingale Museum. The year was 1925 and London was a city of contrasts. By day, its streets buzzed with the clatter of horse-drawn carriages and the impatient horns of motor cars, while by night a thick fog rolled in from the Thames, cloaking the cobblestones in mystery. Gas lamps flickered, casting long shadows yet his charm and erudition made him a darling of London's high society, and invitations to his galas were as coveted as the artifacts he curated. On a crisp autumn evening, as the fog thickened and the city's pulse slowed, a different kind of invitation arrived at Whitehaven Mansions, the elegant flat of Hercule Poirot. The Belgian detective, diminutive in stature but colossal in intellect, was savoring a quiet supper of coq au vin and a glass of claret. His egg-shaped head tilted slightly as he adjusted his pince-nez, his waxed mustache gleaming under the soft glow of a chandelier. Poirot's fastidious nature extended to every detail of his life. His cutlery aligned with geometric precision, his napkin folded into a perfect square. He was a man who believed order was the foundation of truth, and his little gray cells had solved mysteries that baffled Scotland Yard. The tranquility of his evening was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Arthur Hastings, Poirot's loyal friend and confidant. Hastings, a quintessential Englishman with a ruddy complexion and an enthusiasm that bordered on boyish, burst through the door, his overcoat dappled with mist. In his hand was an envelope, its crimson wax seal catching the light. "Poirot, old chap," Hastings exclaimed, his voice brimming with excitement. "You'll never guess what's come in the post. An invitation from Sir Reginald Hawthorne himself. Poirot raised an eyebrow, setting down his fork with deliberate care. Hawthorne, the curator of the Nightingale Museum? Mon ami, what could such a man want with Hercule Poirot? A matter of lost artifacts, perhaps? Or something more sinister? Hastings tore open the envelope, revealing a card embossed with gold lettering. It's for a private gala tomorrow night at the museum. They're unveiling a new treasure, the golden Nightingale amulet, straight from an Egyptian dig. Says it's a priceless relic, and you're invited as a guest of honor. Apparently, Sir Reginald glittering prize. Where there is wealth and ambition, Hastings, there is often danger. We shall attend. The following evening, the fog had thickened, wrapping the Nightingale Museum in a ghostly veil. Poirot, resplendent in a tailored black suit with a pristine white shirt and a silver tie-pin, stepped from a taxi with Hastings at his side. The museum loomed before them, its facade illuminated by lanterns that cast a golden glow. Inside, the grand hall was a spectacle of opulence. Crystal chandeliers hung like constellations, their light reflecting off polished marble floors. Waiters in crisp uniforms glided through the crowd, offering flutes of champagne and delicate canapés. The air was alive with the murmur of conversation, the clink of glasses, and the faint strains of a string quartet playing Vivaldi. Sir Reginald greeted them at the entrance, his presence commanding the room. "Monsieur Poirot, Captain Hastings, what a delight!" His voice carried the weight of authority, yet his smile was warm. "Come, let me introduce you to our little circle." They're all eager to meet the famous detective. First was Lady Amelia Thorne, Sir Reginald's wife, a vision of elegance in her late 40s. Her raven hair was swept into an intricate updo, and a necklace of pearls gleamed at her throat. Her smile was gracious, but her green eyes held a flicker of unease. "The amulet is extraordinary," she said, her voice soft but strained. "Reginald has been consumed by it. Sleepless nights, endless meetings. I worry for him." Next came Dr. Elias Blackwood, the assistant curator, a wiry man of 35 with spectacles that magnified his nervous eyes. His hands fidgeted as he spoke. "The amulet is a marvel of Egyptology," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "But Sir Reginald's been secretive about its origins. I've not even seen the full documentation." Victor Langford, a wealthy collector, approached with a glass of whiskey in hand. Broad-shouldered and boisterous at 50, he had the resonating with pride. "Behold, the golden Nightingale amulet." He lifted a velvet cloth, revealing the jewel on a pedestal under a glass dome. It shimmered like captured sunlight, its golden form etched with ancient hieroglyphs, its emerald wings glinting, its sapphire eyes almost alive. The crowd gasped, but Poirot's keen eyes were elsewhere. He noticed Lady Amelia's furtive glance at Victor, Dr. Blackwood's twitching fingers, Clara's whispered exchange with Sir Reginald earlier in the evening. The air was thick with unspoken tensions, like a storm gathering on the horizon. As toasts were raised and laughter filled the hall, Poirot leaned toward Hastings. "Mon ami, something is not right. These people, they wear masks, and where there are masks, there are secrets. I fear this night will not end as peacefully as it began." Chapter 2. The Locked Vault of Death. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper, guiding you through the fog-laden streets of 1920s London in our Hercule Poirot Mystery, Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum. If you're just joining us, grab a cozy spot and perhaps a warm drink as we dive into Chapter 2 of this classic whodunit. The stage is set, the players introduced, and now tragedy awaits in the heart of the Nightingale Museum. If you're enjoying this tale, please hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from tonight? A quiet corner of Paris, or a rainy evening in Sydney? Let's unravel the mystery together. The grand hall of the Nightingale Museum was a fading echo of laughter and clinking glasses as the gala drew to a close. It was nearing midnight, and the elite of London's society were beginning to depart, their fur coats and silk scarves trailing behind them like the last notes of the string quartet. The chandeliers still cast their golden glow, but the air had grown heavy, as if the museum itself sensed the storm about to break. Hercule Poirot, his sharp gleamed under the lights, and his voice carried the warmth of a practiced host. "Thank you all for coming," he said, shaking hands with the departing lord. "The Nightingale amulet will be the pride of our collection." But his eyes darted toward the secure exhibit room, where the amulet rested under its glass dome. He turned to his wife, Lady Amelia Thorne, who hovered nearby, her pearl necklace catching the light. "My dear, I'll just pop into the vault to ensure everything's in order. I shan't be long." Lady Amelia, her raven hair still perfectly coiled despite the late hour, touched his arm. "Reginald, it's midnight. The amulet is safe. Come home." Her voice held a note of pleading, but her husband's smile was resolute. "Nonsense, Amelia. A curator's duty never sleeps. I'll lock the vault myself and join you shortly." He kissed her hand and strode toward the exhibit room, his footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The exhibit room, a fortress within the museum, was a marvel of modern security. Its outer door, made of reinforced steel, required a key held only by Sir Reginald and the night watchman. Beyond it lay the inner vault, a windowless chamber with a single door, bolted from the inside during viewings to ensure no thief could enter. The vault had no vents, no hidden panels, only thick stone walls and a lock so intricate it was said to rival the Bank of England's. The golden Nightingale amulet, with its emerald wings and sapphire eyes, rested within, a treasure worth a fortune, and if the rumors were true, a curse. Poirot and Hastings lingered in the grand hall, joined by a small group of stragglers. Lady Amelia, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, Miss Clara Voss, and Colonel Marcus Hale. The mood was jovial, but Poirot's keen senses detected undercurrents. Lady Amelia's fingers twisting her pearls, Blackwood's nervous adjustment of his spectacles, Victor's scowl as he downed another whiskey. Clara, the young secretary, stood slightly apart, her golden "We'll need witnesses." The group, led by Lady Amelia, approached the exhibit room. The outer door was locked as expected, its steel surface unyielding. "Reginald, darling, are you there?" Lady Amelia knocked, her knuckles pale against the metal. Silence answered. Colonel Hale pounded harder, his military bark echoing. "Hawthorne, open the door." Still nothing. Poirot's eyes narrowed. This is not right, mes amis. We must gain entry. Hastings glanced at him. But how, Poirot? The door's locked and only Sir Reginald has the key. Lady Amelia's voice rose. The watchman. He has a master key. The night watchman, a grizzled man named Jenkins, was summoned from his post. With trembling hands he produced the key and unlocked the outer door. It swung open, revealing the inner vault door, bolted shut from within, its heavy steel bolt untouched. No windows, no vents, no signs of tampering. The room was a sealed tomb. Impossible, Blackwood muttered, pushing his spectacles up his nose. No one could get in or out. Break it down, Victor bellowed, his face flushed with impatience. Jenkins fetched tools from a maintenance closet, a crowbar and hammer. With effort, Colonel Hale and Victor forced the vault door, the bolt groaning as it gave way. The group crowded forward, then froze in horror. Sir Reginald Hawthorne lay sprawled on the Persian rug, his silver hair matted with blood. A dagger, its hilt carved with Egyptian hieroglyphs, protruded from his chest, the blade buried deep. Blood pooled around him, staining the intricate patterns of the rug. The glass dome over the amulet's pedestal was shattered, shards glinting like stars on the floor. The golden Nightingale amulet was gone. Mon Dieu, Poirot exclaimed, stepping carefully into the vault. A murder in a locked room. The treasure vanished. This is a puzzle worthy of Hercule Poirot's grey cells. Lady Amelia with the amulet. Dr. Blackwood, stammering. I stepped outside for air near the east entrance. The fog was thick. Motive. Professional jealousy, passed over for promotions in favor of Reginald's grand projects. Victor Langford, defiant. I was chatting with Hale in the foyer. Ask him. Motive. Bitter resentment, having lost the amulet to Reginald's underhanded bid. Clara Voss, composed but pale. I was fetching coats for guests near the cloakroom. Motive. Rumors of an affair with Reginald, or perhaps access to museum funds. Colonel Hale, gruff. Smoking my cigar in the foyer with Langford. Motive. Clashes with Reginald over museum budgets and security. Poirot's eyes gleamed as he listened, his fingers steepled. Each of you was near, yet none saw the crime. Curious, no? He returned to the vault, inspecting every detail. The dagger, taken from the Egyptian exhibit, bore hieroglyphs matching the amulet's inscriptions. A faint scent of perfume lingered. Lady Amelia's jasmine, or perhaps Clara's rosewater? A scrap of paper lay under the desk, scrawled with the words, Beware the Nightingale's song. A clue, or a taunt? Hastings whispered, Poirot, how could anyone do this? The door was locked, the bolt untouched. It's impossible. Poirot's smile was enigmatic. Impossible, Hastings? No. The impossible is merely the truth we have not yet seen. The method hides in plain sight, and Hercule Poirot will find it. Chapter 3. The Gathering of Suspects. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper, guiding you deeper into the fog-shrouded mystery of Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum, our Hercule Poirot tale set in the heart of 1920s London. If you're joining us now, settle in with a warm drink, head tilted in thought, stood in the curator's opulent office, a room lined with leather-bound tomes and ancient artifacts. His tailored suit was as immaculate as ever, his mustache a perfect curve of waxed precision. Beside him, Captain Arthur Hastings fidgeted, his honest face creased with concern. Inspector Japp, summoned from Scotland Yard, paced the room, his boots thudding on the polished floor. "Poirot, you've got a knack for turning up where there's trouble," Japp grumbled, his mustache twitching. "A locked-room murder, no less. The press will have a field day. I'm letting you poke around, but don't make me regret it." Poirot's eyes twinkled. "Mon cher Inspector, Hercule Poirot does not poke. He observes, he deduces, he reveals. This crime, c'est formidable. A man stabbed in a vault bolted from within, a treasure vanished without trace. The little gray cells, they are already at work." Hastings leaned closer. "But Poirot, the bolt was untouched, the room sealed. How could anyone get in or out? And who among them had the nerve to kill Sir Reginald?" "Patience, mon ami," Poirot replied, his voice soft but firm. "The truth lies in the details. We shall begin with the suspects. Each has a motive, each a shadow of guilt. Let us bring them into the light." Japp had gathered the key figures in the curator's office for questioning. Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, Miss Clara Voss, and Colonel Marcus Hale. The room, with its heavy oak desk and shelves of Egyptian relics, felt oppressive as the group assembled, their faces a mix of grief, fear, and suspicion. Poirot took his place behind the desk, his small stature commanding the room like a conductor before an orchestra. He steepled his fingers, his gray eyes scanning each suspect with the precision of a jeweler examining a gem. First, Lady Amelia, her elegant frame draped in a black mourning dress, though her raven hair and pearl necklace retained their gala night splendor. Outside, Monsieur Poirot, taking air by the east entrance. The fog was thick, and I needed a moment away from the crowd. Sir Reginald, he dismissed my research on the amulet's history, called my theories about its curse poppycock. I resented that, but murder? Never. Poirot's gaze sharpened. "And who can confirm your presence outside, Doctor?" Blackwood hesitated. "Miss Voss saw me, I believe. We passed each other near the entrance." Clara Voss, the young secretary, was called next. Her golden curls framed a face pale but composed, her blue eyes sharp with intelligence. "I was fetching coats for departing guests," she said, her voice clear. "Sir Reginald trusted me with sensitive matters, including the vault's combination. Only he and I knew it. But I was nowhere near the exhibit room when it happened." Her voice faltered, and she glanced at Blackwood, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. "Mademoiselle," Poirot said gently, "you confirm Dr. Blackwood's alibi, yet you seem unsure. Was there something else you saw or heard?" Clara bit her lip. I thought I saw Dr. Blackwood arguing with Sir Reginald earlier, before the gala. But it was fleeting. I was busy. Victor Langford strode forward, his broad shoulders filling the room with a restless energy. His whiskey-scented breath preceded him. "Hawthorne cheated me out of that amulet," he growled. "I bid for it fairly, but he used underhanded tactics. Bribed the dig's overseer. I've got letters to prove it. I was angry, sure, but I was with Colonel Hale in the foyer, drinking and talking. Murder's not my style. I'd rather take him to court." Colonel Marcus Hale, the last to be questioned, stood ramrod straight, his Boer war scar a stark line across his cheek. "Langford's right," he said gruffly. "We were together, smoking and discussing the museum." Its hands frozen at 12:15. "Could it pinpoint the time of death?" Poirot examined it. "No, mon ami. The watch is a distraction. The autopsy will show death occurred closer to 12:30, based on the body's condition. A red herring, perhaps." He retrieved the scrap of paper found earlier. "Beware the Nightingale song." Its ink was fresh, the handwriting hurried. "A warning? Or a taunt?" Poirot mused. The perfume scent lingered, but he noted a second faint odor. Cigar smoke? Perhaps Hale's? Jap joined them, exasperated. "No fingerprints on the dagger, Poirot. Clean as a whistle. And the amulet? Not a trace. We've searched every guest's belongings." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "The absence of evidence, Inspector, is evidence itself. The killer is meticulous, but no one is perfect, not even a murderer." He paced the vault, his steps measured. The shattered glass dome caught his attention. The amulet was taken, yet the glass was broken from the outside. Why not lift the dome? Unless the breaking was meant to mislead. Hastings frowned. "But the locked door, Poirot. How did the killer get in?" Poirot's smile was enigmatic. "The door, mon ami, is the key. It was bolted from within, yes. But what if the bolt was not the barrier we assume? A trick, perhaps, or a misdirection. We must look beyond the obvious." As they left the vault, Poirot paused at the exhibit room's outer door. A faint scratch marked the keyhole, barely visible. "Interesting," he murmured. "Not a forced entry, but a sign of something." Back in the grand hall, the suspects lingered, their eyes following Poirot like hawks. Lady Amelia whispered to Clara. Blackwood scribbled in a notebook. Victor and Hale exchanged heated words. The air crackled with tension, each suspect a thread in a tangled web. "Poirot, they all had reasons to hate Sir Reginald," Hastings said. "But the locked room, it's impossible." Museum, once a beacon of history, now stood under a pall of suspicion. By the third day of the investigation, the autumn fog had thickened, wrapping London in a shroud that mirrored the mystery within the museum's walls. Hercule Poirot, his gray eyes sharp as ever, moved through the grand hall with the precision of a chess master. His polished shoes clicked softly on the marble floor, his mustache a perfect arc of wax. Beside him, Captain Arthur Hastings struggled to keep pace, his honest face creased with frustration. "Poirot, we've questioned everyone, searched the vault, and still nothing. The killer's a phantom, and that amulet might as well be in Egypt." Poirot's lips curled into a faint smile. "Mon ami, a phantom leaves no traces. Yet we have traces aplenty. The dagger, the broken glass, the perfume, the cryptic note. These are the threads of truth. We must weave them carefully. Inspector Japp, ever harried, joined them near the exhibit room, his Scotland Yard badge glinting under the dim chandeliers. Poirot, the press is hounding me. Locked room murder. Cursed amulet. I need answers, not riddles. We've searched every nook. No amulet. No murder weapon prints. What's your game? My game, mon cher inspector, is order and method, Poirot replied, his voice calm but firm. The killer believes they have outwitted us, but no one escapes the little gray cells. Let us explore further. Poirot's investigation deepened as he combed through the museum's records and re-examined the crime scene. The locked vault remained a puzzle. Its steel bolt, untouched from the inside, suggested an impossible crime. Yet Poirot's mind churned, seeking the flaw in the illusion. He began with the suspects' backgrounds, piecing together motives and opportunities like a mosaic. First, a financial discrepancy surfaced in the museum's ledgers, uncovered by a clerk at Poirot's request. Funds allocated for the amulet's purchase, over £50,000, showed irregularities. Payments had been funneled through an obscure museum's future. I trusted him. A red herring emerged when Hastings found a glove near the exhibit room, monogrammed with Victor Langford's initials. Poirot examined it, noting its pristine condition. "Too convenient, mon ami," he said. "A glove lost in plain sight, yet no one saw it during the gala." "I think not." Victor, when questioned, laughed bitterly. "Lost it days ago, Poirot. Probably fell from my coat. You think I'd be fool enough to leave evidence behind? I wanted that amulet, yes, but I'm no murderer." Poirot's next discovery came from Lady Amelia's diary, retrieved from her handbag with her reluctant consent. The entries, written in elegant script, hinted at personal turmoil. One passage read, "Reginald grows distant, consumed by his artifacts. I find solace in another's company, but I fear discovery." Poirot raised an eyebrow. "Madame, this solace, was it with Dr. Blackwood, perhaps?" Lady Amelia flushed, her pearls glinting as she straightened. "Those are old entries, Monsieur Poirot, from years ago. A fleeting indiscretion, long ended. I loved my husband, despite our quarrels." Dr. Blackwood, when confronted, turned pale, his spectacles slipping. "An affair. Preposterous. I admired Lady Amelia as a colleague's wife, nothing more. My focus was the amulet's research, which Reginald stifled." Poirot noted a new clue in the vault, a faint burn mark on the rug, barely noticeable amid the bloodstains. It suggested a cigarette or cigar, yet Sir Reginald did not smoke. "Colonel Hale, perhaps," Poirot mused, recalling the colonel's cigar habit. Hale, when questioned, bristled. "I smoked in the foyer, not the vault. You're grasping at straws, Poirot." A deeper dive into the museum's records revealed a letter in Sir Reginald's files, addressed to the board. "Hale's greed will ruin us. His demands for budget cuts threaten our legacy." The colonel's motive grew clearer. Financial dispute, us. He turned to the amulet itself. Its legend, documented in Blackwood's notes, spoke of a curse. The nightingale sings before death. Poirot dismissed the supernatural but pondered the phrase from the scrap of paper. Beware the nightingale's song. Was it literal, A sound, perhaps, from the vault? Clara's testimony added a twist. "I forgot to mention," she said, her voice trembling. "I overheard Dr. Blackwood arguing with Sir Reginald before the gala, near the exhibit room. It was about the amulet's provenance. Blackwood was furious." Blackwood, recalled, admitted the argument. "I challenged Reginald on the amulet's origins. He bought it from a shady dealer, not a dig. I thought it unethical, but I didn't kill him." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Merci, doctor. Your candor is illuminating." As the day ended, Poirot found a final clue, a tiny thread of green silk caught in the vault's doorframe, matching Clara's gala dress. "Interesting," he said, pocketing it. "A careless moment or another misdirection." Hastings, exasperated, threw up his hands. "Poirot, we're drowning in clues. Gloves, diaries, threads, poison. How does it fit? And the locked door, still impossible." Poirot's smile was serene. "Non, mon ami. The clues, they are like stars in the night sky. At first they seem scattered, but with order and method they form a constellation. The killer believes they have woven a perfect web, but every web has a flaw." The suspects, dismissed for the evening, exchanged wary glances. Lady Amelia clutched her handbag. Blackwood scribbled nervously. Victor muttered about lawsuits. Hale puffed his cigar, and Clara's eyes lingered on the vault door. The museum, once a sanctuary of history, now felt like a battlefield of secrets. Poirot turned to Japp. "Inspector, we must search the suspects' homes. The amulet, it is not far. And the truth, it is closer still." Chapter 5. The Web Tightens. Welcome back, dear listener. Pulse, and casting the museum in an eerie half-light. Hercule Poirot, his egg-shaped head tilted in thought, moved through the grand hall with the quiet precision of a cat stalking its prey. His tailored suit was immaculate, his mustache a perfect curve of waxed symmetry. Beside him, Captain Arthur Hastings rubbed his temples, his earnest face etched with frustration. Poirot were chasing shadows, clues everywhere, perfume, gloves, threads, poison. But the locked vault? It's still a riddle wrapped in a mystery. Poirot's gray eyes twinkled. "Mon ami, shadows only exist where there is light. The clues, they are fragments of truth, scattered to mislead. But Hercule Poirot sees through the fog, the web tightens, and the killer will soon be caught." Inspector Japp, his Scotland Yard badge glinting under the dim chandeliers, joined them with a scowl. "Poirot, the Home Office is breathing down my neck. The press is calling this the Nightingale curse. I need a breakthrough, not more of your cryptic musings." "Patience, Inspector," Poirot replied, his voice soft but firm. "The breakthrough, it comes when the little gray cells align the pieces. Let us proceed with method." The investigation had grown more complex, with new complications muddying the waters. Poirot's request for a search of the suspects' homes had yielded little. The golden Nightingale amulet remained elusive, and no damning evidence surfaced. But a new witness emerged. A museum maid, Ellen Carter, a timid girl of 20, approached Japp with a trembling voice. "Sir, I didn't want to speak out of turn, but I saw something the night of the gala. Lady Amelia. She was near the exhibit room at 12:20, slipping away from the hall. I thought she was checking on Sir Reginald, but..." She looked nervous. Poirot's eyes narrowed as he questioned her. "Mademoiselle Carter, you are certain of the time? And her demeanor?" Ellen nodded, clutching her apron. "Yes, sir. It was just after I cleared some glasses. She was glancing about, like she didn't want to be seen. This shows you were elsewhere after the murder, not during. The time of death is near 12:30. You remain, as they say, in the frame. The amulet's legend, documented in Dr. Blackwood's research, resurfaced as a potential clue. The tale spoke of a nightingale's song preceding death, a mechanical hum, some scholars claimed, from a hidden device in the amulet. Poirot, skeptical of curses, wondered if the note, "Beware the nightingale's song," hinted at a literal sound. He inspected the shattered glass dome again, noting its precise breakage. "The glass was struck with force," he murmured, "yet the pedestal is undisturbed. Why break it, unless to stage a theft?" Dr. Blackwood, summoned again, grew agitated under Poirot's scrutiny. "I told you. I argued with Reginald about the amulet's origins," he said, his spectacles slipping. "He bought it from a black market dealer, not a dig. I thought it unethical, but I didn't kill him. I was outside, as Clara confirmed." Poirot's gaze was piercing. "Yet your resentment, Doctor, it festers. And your expertise in Egyptology, did it include the amulet's mechanism? A song, perhaps?" Blackwood flushed. "I studied its history, not mechanics. You're barking up the wrong tree." A financial thread tightened around Colonel Marcus Hale. Museum records, dug up by Poirot's insistence, revealed Hale had pushed for budget cuts to redirect funds to a private security firm he consulted for, a firm now under scrutiny for smuggling artifacts. Sir Reginald's letter, accusing Hale of greed, took on new weight. Confronted, Hale's scarred cheek twitched. Hawthorne was bleeding the museum dry with his obsessions, he barked. "I wanted efficiency, not theft. I was with Langford, smoking when it happened." Poirot noted the cigar scent in the vault. "Yet a burn mark, Monsieur Hale, suggests a cigar was present. Yours, perhaps?" Hale's eyes narrowed. "I smoked in the foyer. You've got nothing." The green silk thread from is theatrical. The stab was fatal. Why add poison and less to mislead? The killer plays a game of shadows. He returned to the vault, examining the bolt mechanism. A faint scratch on the inner bolt caught his eye, suggesting manipulation. "Not forced," he murmured, "but adjusted, perhaps with a tool. A clever trick." Another clue surfaced. A museum logbook kept by Clara showed an unscheduled delivery of exhibit tools days before the gala, signed for by an unknown initials, M.H. Marcus Hale? When questioned, Hale scoffed. "I oversee security, not deliveries. Check with the staff." The maid Ellen provided another twist. "I saw Colonel Hale near the exhibit room earlier that day," she whispered. "He was carrying a small case, like for tools. I thought it odd." Poirot's investigation extended to Sir Reginald's will, uncovered in his office. It left the museum's control to Lady Amelia. But debts tied to the amulet's purchase threatened its future. A motive for Amelia, perhaps, to secure her inheritance? She denied it, her voice trembling. "I wanted Reginald alive, not this chaos." As the day waned, Poirot gathered the suspects in the grand hall for a tense meeting. "Mes amis," he said, pacing. "The clues multiply, yet the truth remains elusive. A thread, a receipt, a poison, a song, each a piece of the puzzle. But the locked vault, It is the heart of this mystery. How was it done? The answer lies not in what we see, but in what we do not. Lady Amelia clutched her pearls, Blackwood fidgeted, Victor glared, Hale puffed his cigar, and Clara's eyes darted to the exit. The air crackled with suspicion, each suspect a potential spider in the web. Hastings, exasperated, tugged at his collar. Poirot, we're drowning in twists. The thread points to Clara, the poison to Blackwood, the cigar to Hale, but the locked door? It's maddening. Poirot's voice was calm as a still lake. In the persistent fog of 1925 London, stood as a silent witness to the unraveling drama within its walls. By the 6th day of the investigation, the air was thick with tension, as if the very stones of the Victorian edifice held their breath. Hercule Poirot, his egg-shaped head tilted and his mustache impeccably waxed, stood in the grand hall, his gray eyes gleaming with the quiet confidence of a man nearing the truth. Captain Arthur Hastings, ever loyal but increasingly exasperated, paced beside him, his hands thrust into his pockets. Poirot, we've got threads, receipts, poison, and that blasted note about the Nightingale's song, but the locked vault? It's still impossible. Are we any closer to catching this killer? Poirot's lips curled into a serene smile. Mon ami, we are not merely close. We are at the threshold. The clues, they are like notes in a symphony. At first, they seem discordant, but with order and method, they form a melody. Today, Hercule Poirot will conduct the finale. Inspector Japp, his face etched with fatigue, approached with a scowl. Poirot, the press is relentless. They're spinning tales of curses and ghosts. I need a name, a motive, something solid. You've had your fun. Give me the killer. Patience, Inspector, Poirot replied, his voice soft but commanding. The killer believes they have woven a perfect tapestry of deception. But every tapestry has a loose thread. Gather the suspects, s'il vous plaît. The revelation awaits. Japp, grumbling, arranged for Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, Miss Clara Voss, and Colonel Marcus Hale to assemble in the grand hall. The chandeliers cast a muted glow, their light reflecting off the marble floor like a fractured mirror. The suspects stood in a semicircle, their faces a gallery of emotions. Lady Amelia's pale composure, Blackwood's nervous fidgeting, Victor's defiant scowl, Clara's guarded eyes, and Hale's rigid posture. Lady Amelia clutched her pearls, her voice trembling. Monsieur Poirot, I've told you, I was in the hall bidding guests farewell. I loved Reginald, despite our quarrels. Dr. Blackwood adjusted his spectacles, his tic pronounced. I was outside, as Miss Voss confirmed. My argument with Sir Reginald was professional, not murderous. Victor Langford snorted, his whiskey-scented breath sharp. I was with Hale, drinking. My glove was lost, not planted. I wanted that amulet, but I'm no killer. Clara Voss, her golden curls framing a pale face, spoke softly. I fetched coats, nothing more. The thread? It must be a mistake. I knew the vault's combination, but I never entered. Colonel Hale's scar twitched. I smoked in the foyer with Langford. Hawthorne and I disagreed on budgets, but murder? Absurd. Poirot's eyes gleamed as he raised a hand. Merci, all of you. Your alibis, they are like the fog of London, thick, but not impenetrable. Let us unravel the truth, step by step. He turned to the vault, gesturing as if it stood before them. The locked room. It is the heart of this mystery. The bolt was internal, untouched. No windows, no vents, no secret passages, confirmed by blueprints. Yet Sir Reginald was stabbed, the amulet taken. How? The killer. They did not need to enter the vault after the crime. The crime was committed before the bolt was set. Hastings gasped. Before? But Poirot, the body was found inside, the door locked. Précisément, Poirot said, his voice rising. The killer stabbed Sir Reginald elsewhere, then moved the body to the vault, setting the bolt with a clever trick. But let us not leap ahead. First, the clues. He held up the scrap of paper. This note, "Beware the Nightingale song," is no curse. The amulet, per Dr. Blackwood's research, contains a mechanism, a faint hum like a bird song when activated. Did Sir Reginald trigger it, alerting the killer? Stammered. I studied texts, not poisons. This is outrageous. Poirot raised a hand, silencing the room. Now, the revelation. The killer is among us, and the method is clear. The vault's bolt was not set by Sir Reginald, but by a device, a clockwork mechanism, hidden in the exhibit's pedestal. The killer, with knowledge of mechanics, rigged it to engage the bolt after the murder, creating the illusion of a locked room. He turned to Colonel Hale. Monsieur Hale, your military background includes engineering, no? You consulted for a security firm, one tied to smuggling artifacts through the museum. Sir Reginald discovered this, as his letter to the board reveals. You met him privately before the gala, in the exhibit room. You stabbed him with the Egyptian dagger, then moved his body to the vault. The pedestal's clockwork, which you adjusted during a so-called security check, locked the bolt remotely. The amulet? Hidden in your cane. Hollowed for just such a purpose. Hale's face reddened, his scar stark. Preposterous. You've no proof. Poirot smiled. The proof. It is in the details. A fiber from your uniform caught on the dagger's hilt. The burn mark from your cigar, dropped in haste. The scratch on the bolt from your tool. And the initials MH on the delivery log for tools you used to rig the mechanism. The room froze. Lady Amelia gasped. Blackwood's spectacles slipped. Victor swore, and Clara stared, wide-eyed. Hale's composure cracked, his voice low. Hawthorne was going to ruin me. The smuggling, it was small, just to fund the museum. He threatened to expose me. Jap stepped forward, handcuffs ready. That's enough, Colonel. You're under arrest. Poirot bowed slightly. The little gray cells. They do not fail. The amulet, Inspector. You will find in Hale's cane. Chapter 7. Echoes of Justice. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper. Now, the air was heavy with the weight of truth. Colonel Marcus Hale stood in the center of the hall, his scarred cheek pale under the scrutiny of Hercule Poirot's piercing gray eyes. The other suspects, Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, and Miss Clara Voss, stood frozen, their faces a mix of shock, relief, and lingering unease. Inspector Japp, his Scotland Yard badge glinting, gripped a pair of handcuffs, his mustache twitching with grim satisfaction. Hercule Poirot, his egg-shaped head tilted and his mustache a perfect arc of waxed precision, addressed the room with the calm authority of a conductor concluding a symphony. "Mes amis," he said, his voice warm yet commanding. "The mystery of the Nightingale Museum is solved. The little gray cells have triumphed over deception. Colonel Hale, you stand revealed as the murderer of Sir Reginald Hawthorne and the thief of the golden Nightingale amulet. The locked vault, it was no miracle. It was a trick, a clockwork deception worthy of your military cunning." Hale's jaw tightened, his eyes darting like a cornered animal. "You're clever, Poirot," he growled, his voice low and bitter. "But you've no right to judge me. Hawthorne was a fool, sinking the museum into debt for his precious relics. My arrangements ensured its survival. He was going to expose me, ruin everything." Poirot raised a hand, silencing him. "Monsieur Hale, your motives do not justify murder. You stabbed Sir Reginald in the exhibit room, during a private meeting before the gala's end. You used your knowledge of mechanics to rig the vault's pedestal, a clockwork device, disguised as part of the exhibit, to engage the bolt after you placed the body inside. The amulet you hid in your cane, hollowed for such a purpose. The burn mark from your cigar, the fiber from your uniform, the scratch on the bolt. These were your undoing." Japp stepped forward, his handcuffs clicking. "That's enough, Colonel. You're coming with..." Emptied. Lady Amelia approached Poirot, her raven hair framing a face etched with grief and gratitude. "Monsieur Poirot, I don't know how to thank you. Reginald's death, it broke my heart. But knowing the truth brings some peace. The museum, it was his life. What will become of it now?" Poirot bowed slightly. "Madame, the museum will endure, as will Sir Reginald's legacy. His will ensures you control its future. Use it wisely, and let the Nightingale amulet be a symbol of truth, not tragedy." Dr. Blackwood, adjusting his spectacles, stepped forward. "I misjudged Sir Reginald," he admitted, his voice shaky. "I thought his secrecy about the amulet was arrogance, but perhaps he suspected Hale's schemes. I'll continue his work if I may." Victor Langford, his broad shoulders slumped, grunted. "I wanted that amulet, Poirot, but not like this. Hawthorne was a rival, not an enemy. I'll withdraw my claims. Let the museum keep it." Clara Voss, her golden curls catching the light, spoke softly. "I thought the thread implicated me. I was terrified. Thank you, Monsieur Poirot, for seeing the truth." Poirot's eyes twinkled. "Mademoiselle, the thread was a distraction. Likely caught when you checked the exhibit room earlier. The killer relied on such misdirections, but they could not hide from Hercule Poirot." Hastings, watching the scene, shook his head in awe. "Poirot, you've done it again. A locked room murder, solved like a puzzle. But that clockwork trick, how did you know?" Poirot's smile was enigmatic. "Mon ami, the vault was not the mystery. It was the solution. The killer needed us to believe the crime was impossible. But the pedestal's mechanism, the scratches, the timing, they betrayed the truth. Order and method, Hastings. Always." As the suspects dispersed, Japp lingered. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Perhaps, mon ami. Or perhaps the amulet's mechanism hummed a warning Sir Reginald did not heed. We shall never know. But the song of truth, it has been sung. They hailed a taxi, the museum fading into the fog behind them. London's pulse beat on, its secrets buried once more in the night. Chapter 8. The Echoes of the Past. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper, guiding you through the fog-draped streets of 1920s London in our Hercule Poirot Mystery, Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum. If you're joining us now, settle into a cozy corner with a warm drink as we step into Chapter 8 of this classic whodunit. The murderer has been unmasked, the golden Nightingale amulet recovered, but the shadows of the past linger, whispering secrets yet to be fully revealed. This tale unfolds slowly, deliberately, perfect for a relaxing evening of suspense. If you're enjoying this journey, please hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? A chilly night in Dublin or a quiet evening in Buenos Aires? Let's explore the aftermath together. The Nightingale Museum, its marble columns standing resolute against the autumn fog, was no longer a crime scene but a place of quiet restoration. A week had passed since Colonel Marcus Hale's arrest, and the Grand Hall, once a stage for tragedy, now hummed with cautious optimism. The chandeliers gleamed once more, casting their golden light over polished floors as staff prepared to reopen the museum to the public. The golden Nightingale amulet, its emerald wings and sapphire eyes shimmering with ancient allure, rested in a new, fortified display case, its so-called curse dispelled by the light of truth. Yet, for Hercule Poirot, the case was not entirely closed. There were threads, small nagging details that demanded his attention, lest they unravel the justice so carefully woven. Poirot stood in the curator's office, now under Dr. Elias Blackwood's temporary stewardship, entering with his usual bustle overheard. His mustache twitched with impatience. "Poirot, you're like a dog with a bone. Hale's in custody, the amulet's secure, and the press is finally off my back. What more do you want? Some ancient curse to solve?" Poirot's smile was serene. "No, Inspector, not a curse, but a connection. The amulet, it was not merely a prize, it was a catalyst. Sir Reginald's death exposed secrets, but not all belonged to Colonel Hale. Let us gather the players once more." At Poirot's request, Japp summoned the key figures to the Grand Hall. Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, and Miss Clara Voss. Colonel Hale, now in a cell at Scotland Yard, was absent, but his shadow loomed large. The suspects gathered under the chandeliers, their faces a mix of weariness and curiosity. Lady Amelia, her raven hair swept into a mourning veil, clutched a handkerchief. Blackwood, his spectacles gleaming, fidgeted with a notebook. Victor, his broad shoulders slumped, sipped a flask discreetly. Clara, her golden curls framing a pale face, stood with quiet resolve. Poirot paced before them, his hands clasped behind his back. "Mes amis," he began, his voice warm yet precise. "The murder of Sir Reginald Hawthorne has been solved, the amulet recovered, and justice served. Yet Hercule Poirot does not rest until every piece of the puzzle fits. There are questions unanswered, threads untied, Let us examine them together." He held up the cryptic note found in the vault. "Beware the nightingale's song." "This message," he said, "was not merely a taunt from Colonel Hale. Its ink, fresh, its handwriting hurried. It suggests another hand, another purpose. And the poison on the dagger, a rare Egyptian toxin, why use it when the stab was fatal? These are not accidents, but signs of a hidden truth." Lady Amelia's voice trembled. "Monsieur Poirot, what are you suggesting?" Hale confessed. "Monsieur Poirot. Days before the gala, he mentioned a threat. Not from Hale, but from someone close. He wouldn't say who. He said the amulet was more than a treasure. It was a key." Poirot's voice sharpened. "To what, mademoiselle?" Clara hesitated. "He didn't say. Only that its secrets could ruin reputations." Victor Langford snorted, his flask glinting. "Secrets? Hawthorne was full of them. He cheated me out of that amulet with dirty money. If he had enemies, he earned them." Poirot's gaze turned to Lady Amelia. "Madame, your husband's diary hinted at personal strife. An affair, perhaps, or a betrayal. Was there another secret he kept from you?" Her hands twisted her handkerchief. "Reginald was consumed by the museum. He grew distant, yes, but I knew no specifics. If he had secrets, they died with him." Poirot paused, his eyes scanning the group. "No, they did not all die. The poison, the note, these suggest a second hand, someone who knew Hale's plan and sought to complicate it. Let us consider. Hale stabbed Sir Reginald in the exhibit room, moved the body and rigged the vault. But the poison? It was applied after, by another." A murmur rippled through the group. Blackwood paled, Victor's flask froze midway, and Clara's eyes widened. Poirot continued. "The poison was a gesture, a message. The note, too, was not Hale's. It was written by someone who knew the amulet's legend intimately." He turned to Blackwood. "Doctor, your knowledge of the amulet's history is unmatched. You argued with Sir Reginald about its provenance. Did you know of the poison, accessible through museum contacts?" Blackwood stammered. I studied toxins for research, but I never used them. This is madness." Poirot raised a hand. "Calme-toi, doctor. I do not accuse you of murder, but of knowledge. The poison was a red herring, meant to cast suspicion on you. And the note? It was written by one who wished to warn, or to echoes can guide us to peace. The Nightingale amulet will shine again, free of its shadows." As the group dispersed, Hastings clapped Poirot's shoulder. "You've done it again, Poirot. Unraveled every thread, even the ones we didn't see." Poirot's smile was modest. "Mon ami, the little gray cells, they hear even the faintest whispers. Now, let us leave this place to its future." Chapter 9. The Nightingale's Legacy. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper, guiding you through the fog-draped corridors of our Hercule Poirot Mystery, Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum. If you're joining us now, settle into a cozy nook with a warm drink as we step into Chapter 9 of this 1920s London whodunit. The murderer, Colonel Marcus Hale, has been unmasked, the golden Nightingale amulet recovered, and a hidden warning from Miss Clara Voss revealed. Yet, the echoes of this tragedy still resonate within the museum's marble halls. This tale unfolds slowly, deliberately, crafted for a relaxing evening of suspense. If you're enjoying this journey, please hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? A crisp autumn night in Oxford? Or a quiet evening in San Francisco? Let's explore the legacy of the Nightingale together. The Nightingale Museum, its Victorian grandeur softened by the persistent fog of 1925 London, stood on the cusp of rebirth. 10 days had passed since Colonel Hale's arrest, and the scandal that had gripped Bloomsbury was beginning to fade from the headlines. The Grand Hall, once a stage for murder, now buzzed with cautious activity as staff polished display cases and prepared for the museum's reopening. The golden Nightingale amulet, its emerald wings and sapphire eyes gleaming under a new, fortified glass dome, was set to be the centerpiece of a memorial exhibit honoring Sir Reginald Hawthorne. Yet, for Hercule Poirot, the case lingered like a melody that refused to resolve, its final notes demanding attention. And Hercule Poirot must ensure its truth is fully known. Inspector Japp, entering with his usual brisk stride, tossed a newspaper onto the desk. Poirot, the press is finally calming down. Nightingale curse debunked, they're calling it. But you're still here, sniffing about like a bloodhound. What's got your grey cells in a twist now? Poirot's smile was serene. Mon cher Inspector, the truth is not merely the arrest of a killer, but the restoration of order. Sir Reginald's journal. It reveals more than his suspicions of Hale. It speaks of ambitions, betrayals, and a vision for the museum that must not be lost. Let us gather our players one final time. At Poirot's insistence, Japp summoned the remaining key figures to the Grand Hall. Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, and Miss Clara Voss. The chandeliers cast a warm glow, reflecting off the marble floor like a mirror of memory. The suspects gathered, their expressions a mix of weariness and wary anticipation. Lady Amelia, her raven hair framed by a mourning veil, held herself with quiet dignity. Blackwood, his spectacles polished to a shine, clutched a notebook as if it were a shield. Victor, his broad frame less imposing than before, stood with arms crossed. Clara, her golden curls catching the light, met Poirot's gaze with a mix of gratitude and unease. Poirot stood before them, his small stature commanding the room like a maestro before a silent orchestra. Mes amis, he began, his voice warm yet precise. The murder of Sir Reginald Hawthorne has been solved, the golden Nightingale amulet restored, and Colonel Hale's treachery exposed. Yet the museum story does not end with his arrest. There are echoes of the past, secrets in Sir Reginald's heart that must be brought to light, for the sake of his legacy. He held up the journal, its leather cover worn but intact. This, Sir Reginald's private thoughts, reveals a man torn between ambition and fear. He wrote of the amulet not mere Reginald, but yes, I resented his secrecy. He dismissed my research, kept me in the shadows. I wanted to lead, to prove myself. But murder? Never. I told you of our argument. He was hiding the amulet's true origins. Poirot nodded, then addressed Clara. Mademoiselle Voss, you wrote the note. Beware the Nightingale's song, to warn Sir Reginald of Hale's plans. But the journal mentions your loyalty and a fear. Sir Reginald suspected you knew more than you admitted, perhaps about the museum's finances. Clara's blue eyes widened, her hands trembling. I managed his accounts, yes.
I saw the irregular payments for the amulet, but I thought they were his decision. When I overheard Hale's talk of a deal, I feared for Sir Reginald. I wrote the note to protect him, not to betray him." Victor Langford, his voice gruff, interrupted. "Enough of this, Poirot. Hawthorne cheated me out of that amulet, but I've let it go. The museum can have it. Why drag this out?" Poirot's gaze was piercing. "Monsieur Langford, your rivalry with Sir Reginald was fierce, but your heart, it seems, is not as cold as your words. The journal notes your threats to sue, but also a respect. Sir Reginald admired your passion for antiquities." He turned to the group. "The final secret lies in the amulet itself. Sir Reginald wrote of its mechanism, the Nightingale's song, not a curse, but a safeguard. He believed it held a hidden compartment, a relic within a relic, perhaps a map to a greater treasure. He intended to reveal this at the gala, but Hale's blade silenced him." Poirot paused, letting the words settle. "Dr. Blackwood, you studied the amulet. Did you find such a mechanism?" Blackwood hesitated, then nodded. I suspected a compartment, based on ancient texts. I told Sir Reginald it might contain inscriptions, perhaps a key to another site. He was excited, but secretive. I never saw it opened." Poirot summoned a museum technician, who brought...
Hastings stepped into the foggy street. The detective's smile was serene. "Mon ami, the past is never silent, but its echoes can guide us to light." Chapter 10. The Final Note. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Mystery Manor Tales. I'm your host, Evelyn Harper, guiding you through the final chapter of our Hercule Poirot mystery, Slain Curator at Nightingale Museum. If you're joining us now, find a cozy spot with a warm drink, as we step into Chapter 10 of this 1920s London whodunit. The murderer has been unmasked, the golden Nightingale amulet recovered, and a hidden map revealed, promising a new chapter for the museum. Yet the echoes of this tragedy linger, calling for one last reflection. This tale unfolds slowly, deliberately, crafted for a relaxing evening of suspense. If you're enjoying this journey, please hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? A foggy night in London or a quiet evening in Tokyo? Let's bring this mystery to its close. The Nightingale Museum stood resolute in the heart of Bloomsbury, its marble columns piercing the autumn fog like sentinels of history. 2 weeks had passed since Colonel Marcus Hale's arrest, and the scandal that had gripped London was fading into whispers, replaced by anticipation for the museum's reopening. The Grand Hall, once a stage for murder, now shimmered with renewed purpose. Polished floors reflected the glow of chandeliers, and display cases gleamed, ready to welcome visitors. At the center of it all was the golden Nightingale amulet, its emerald wings and sapphire eyes sparkling under a fortified glass dome, now part of a memorial exhibit dedicated to Sir Reginald Hawthorne. For Hercule Poirot, the case was nearly complete, but the final note of this intricate symphony demanded his attention, ensuring the museum's legacy would endure. Poirot stood in the Grand Hall, his egg-shaped head tilted, his waxed mustache a perfect arc of symmetry. His tailored suit was impeccable, and his gray eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. Beside him, Captain, "The Home Office is pleased, and I'm off the hook. But you're still here, fussing over details. What's left to do?" Poirot's eyes twinkled. "Mon cher Inspector, the details are the soul of truth. Sir Reginald's journal and the map, they speak of more than treasure.
They speak of trust, betrayal, and redemption. Let us gather our players one last time to ensure the Nightingale's song is one of hope. At Poirot's request, Japp arranged a final gathering in the Grand Hall just before the museum's public reopening. The key figures assembled: Lady Amelia Thorne, Dr. Elias Blackwood, Victor Langford, and Miss Clara Voss. The hall was alive with the hum of staff finalizing preparations, but the group stood apart, their faces a tapestry of resolve and reflection. Lady Amelia, her raven hair swept beneath a simple hat, radiated quiet strength. Blackwood, his spectacles polished, held a notebook filled with plans for the new Egyptian wing. Victor, his broad frame softened by humility, stood with hands in pockets. Clara, her golden curls catching the chandelier's light, met Poirot's gaze with newfound confidence. Poirot stood before them, his small stature commanding the room like a conductor before a silent orchestra. "Mes amis," he began, his voice warm yet precise. "The Nightingale Museum stands at a crossroads. The murder of Sir Reginald Hawthorne, the theft of the amulet, the treachery of Colonel Hale. These were dark notes in a complex melody. Yet from darkness comes light. The amulet is restored, the map revealed, and the truth laid bare. But the legacy of this place, it rests with you." He held up Sir Reginald's journal, its leather cover worn but cherished. "This journal, found in a hidden drawer, tells of a man who dreamed beyond his lifetime. Sir Reginald saw the museum as a beacon of knowledge, uniting cultures through their relics. The map, hidden within the amulet, points to a lost tomb, a discovery that could fund this vision for generations. But he also wrote of his fears, of those he trusted, and those he doubted." Lady Amelia's eye— "My redemption." Poirot nodded, then addressed Clara. "Mademoiselle Voss, your warning note. Beware the Nightingale's song was a brave act, though too late to save Sir Reginald. The journal praises your loyalty, but notes your access to the museum's finances. You have a chance to prove that trust." Clara's blue eyes shone with determination. "I'll oversee the accounts transparently, Monsieur Poirot. The map's expedition, I'll ensure every penny supports Sir Reginald's dream, not personal gain." Victor Langford, his usual bluster subdued, spoke up. "Poirot, I was a fool to feud with Hawthorne over that amulet. I've pledged funds for the expedition, no strings attached. It's what he would have wanted." Poirot's smile was warm. "Monsieur Langford, your rivalry was fierce, but your heart is true. Sir Reginald noted your respect for antiquities. Your generosity ensures his legacy endures." He turned to the group, his voice rising with conviction. "The Nightingale's song was not a curse, but a call to truth. The amulet's mechanism, its hidden map, they were Sir Reginald's hope for the future. Colonel Hale sought to steal that hope, but you, together, will restore it. The lost tomb, when found, will draw scholars and patrons, securing the museum's place in history." Poirot gestured to the amulet's display, its golden form gleaming under the lights. "This relic, it is more than gold and gems. It is a symbol of resilience. The museum, like the Nightingale, will sing again." Lady Amelia stepped forward, her voice steady. "Monsieur Poirot, you've given us more than justice. You've given us purpose. The Nightingale Museum will reopen tomorrow, and the memorial exhibit will honor Reginald's vision. The expedition will begin next spring, with Dr. Blackwood and Clara leading the way." Blackwood nodded, his notebook open to plans for the tomb's exploration. Clara smiled, her earlier fears replaced by resolve. Victor raised a glass of water, a rare choice, offering a quiet toast. The hall, once heavy with suspicion, now softly. "A fine case, Hastings," Poirot said, adjusting his hat. "The nightingale sings, and London listens."